Hey, yo, what if they move to give Trump a third term, and this is the third term, because Biden's whole term was stolen?
Donald Trump has confirmed that he would like to serve a third term as President of the United States. In a phone call that NBC News is reporting on today, Donald Trump clarified he was not joking when he said he would like to serve a third term as the president, and there are methods through which he could do it. It's an interesting statement given the fact that the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution exists prohibiting a third term presidency. Yet, he's talking about it and actively considering it. He did go on to say that there is still lots of time in this administration and much to be done between now and then, but he would absolutely consider it, and he's arguing that many, many people want him to.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're gonna talk because Donald Trump just did what Donald Trump does best. He says something outrageous, leave us confused, and somehow stay trending. This time, he's not joking about running for a third term. Yeah, you heard that right, a third term. Let's get into it.
It should come as no surprise that Trump would like to continue to be president beyond his current term. He kept saying on the campaign trail that there might not be a need for future elections. He continued to allude to that over and over. Additionally, he has said in the past that he would like to seek a third term if possible, and he once again confirmed that today. Now, the likely path for that to occur would mean that J.D. Vance would run for president with Trump as his vice president, and Vance could get elected and then resign, effectively making Trump president again. This idea should terrify you, whether you're in the US or whether you're outside of the US. What many Americans fail to realize is how much this president is affecting the entire world. The fact that Canada is done with us should be enough. He is by far the worst president in American history.
So Donald Trump just said he was not joking about seeking a third term in 2028 and said he has methods to achieve this. Here is how he responded when NBC's Kristen Welker asked him if he wants to run for president again. Quote, "I like working. I'm not joking, ... but it's far too early to think about it, ... A lot of people want me to do it." And then when he was asked if he had been presented with any plans as to how he would run for a third term, here's how he responded, quote, "There are methods which you could do it." But then when he was asked to clarify what those methods are, he refused to answer, likely because those methods are unconstitutional, as the 22nd Amendment prohibits Donald Trump or any president from having a third term. So there you have it. The President of the United States just went on live TV and did not rule out the possibility of seeking an unconstitutional third term. Guys, we were right. When Donald Trump reclaimed power, we knew he wouldn't want to give it up. It sucks to be proven right here, but sadly, looks like we have been.
Wild Trump interview today on NBC News where he did not rule out seeking a third term. What are we doing? A third term is prevented by the Constitution, the whole 22nd Amendment, but he says there's a way to do it. Kristen asked him, what are these methods by which you could get a third term? And he said, well, I don't know. And then she said, well, would it be like J.D. Vance runs and wins and then hands it over to you, kind of like when Medvedev took over for Putin for a minute? And he was like, oh yeah, fantastic idea. I never knew anything about that, but thank you for telling me. We don't have third terms in America, but some people love Trump more than they love America. Some people love Trump more than they love democracy. Some people love power more than they love democracy. If you don't love democracy and fight for democracy and put democracy ahead of everything else as far as government, you don't love America. Are you even American? You want to talk about an anti-American ideology? Anything that is anti-democratic, anti-American.
Now, some of you already know, but Donald Trump states that he is still possibly trying to seek a third term. Let's jump right into it. Trump told NBC News in an exclusive interview Sunday that he is serious about the possibility of seeking a third term in the White House, stating that a lot of people want him to extend his presidency and that there are methods for doing so. Trump also added that it is very early in the administration and he is focused on the current, but that he has not ruled out potential attempts to becoming a president for a third time. The 22nd Amendment of the U.S. Constitution states that no person shall be elected to office of the president more than twice. The only president in U.S. history to serve more than 2 terms was Franklin D. Roosevelt, who won 4 presidential elections and served from 1933 until his death in 1945, leading to a call for term limits and the ratification of the 22nd Amendment in 1951. Trump was vague in response to questions about the methods he would use if he ran for office a third time. He told NBC News in one possible scenario, Vice President J.D. Vance could run for president and then pass the role to him. Now, the only way that this can happen is amending the Constitution to abolish the 2-term limit will require either 2/3 vote of Congress or 2/3 of the state agreeing to call a constitutional convention for proposed changes. Both options would then require ratification from 3/4 of the states. So even though he's focused on this current administration, he's not leaving out the option for trying to seek a third. What are your thoughts on this?
Thank you. I am CJ Hightower, and this is another episode of Real Life. You see the post. Donald Trump, our president. Donald Trump says there are methods for him to serve a third term despite the constitutional limits. That's what we're going to be discussing today. He was in an interview where he said he's thinking about it already. And he wasn't joking, ladies and gentlemen. He was serious. What did that mean for the American people? What did that mean for us if he does a third term? Does that mean we don't get to vote anymore? Or is there something else in line? Because the last time I checked, the only time you could do a third term or if we are at some type of war or martial law is being under the martial law. That's what I'm thinking. But are we changing our constitution? Are we switching from a democracy to a dictatorship? Y'all tell me what y'all think about this. I know this is his first year in office, and he's saying that most people want him to do it. He said so he's thinking about doing it because most people want him to do it. How do y'all feel about it? Do y'all want him to do it? Is this something that the American people shouldn't have to vote about, or is this going to be a new system where the people is satisfied with the way the president is doing his job? We can continue to have him in. What did this mean going forward? Tell me. I want y'all to leave some comments. Tell me how y'all feel about that. Do this mean that Barack Obama can run again? Could this mean that old presidents can come back? I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm just trying to get some clarification on how this is possible and what the future may lies for America. Leave some comments. Tell me how y'all feel about it. I don't even know enough information about it to tell you how I feel about it. I just seen it, and I just wanted to bring the news and discuss it. And he could do a 4th term, a 5th term. I don't know. It's just interesting. So I'm just saying, man, this is real. This is real stuff that I'm saying. I didn't make this up. This is a real article. Until next time, I'll see you later.
It's No News Sunday, which means Donald Trump has to stir up controversies that don't exist. Okay, so now he just tells the media, by the way, there are other ways I can run for a 3rd term. There are ways. People are saying there are ways. Great ways, huge ways, secure ways. There happen to not be any ways for him to currently run for a third term. The only way would be to change the Constitution, which he can do. Reagan wanted to do it. It was only put in place like 100 years ago, so it can easily be changed if we want to. We won't. He won't. He knows he won't win. He doesn't want his legacy to be a loss. So he won't change the Constitution, and he won't run for a third term. But it's a great tool to get his name in the press. And as Donald Trump really, really knows, for Donald Trump, any news is the greatest news ever. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be a mugshot. It could be getting shot through his head. And it could be talking about a third run for president. You vote for him for a third time? Did you vote for him twice already? Maybe that should be the rule. If you vote for a person twice, then you can vote for him a third time. Sounds good. This makes sense. Stop thinking about it. In all seriousness, I predict DeSantis being the front runner of 2028. Donald Trump will have no say in who's running in 2028. And J.D. Vance right now is hated by large swaths of his own party due to the fact that he has to actually go and try to explain all of Donald Trump's bad policies, specifically the tariffs, which don't make any sense. That's the thing, they're very contradictory, and everyone knows that. And even J.D. Vance knows that, but he's the vice president, so he's really got to try to explain this of why having both ways are good, even though they literally cannot work. And Republicans are we want truth, especially conservatives, we really want truth. And so we just feel like a lie oozing out of the camera, and it's making his popularity go down. Now, it's not a good or bad thing, just right now it's going down. And DeSantis right now keeps on winning. That's why I think DeSantis will be the front runner in 2028. Maybe a combination of DeSantis and J.D. Vance. Powerhouse.
He can talk about a third term all he wants. By the end of all this, I'm going to let y'all in on a little secret. His own voters aren't even going to want him to run again. I mean, think about it. For one, there are people who have been on this MAGA train for 10 years now. By the end of this administration, it will be 14 years. And we saw even before he was elected how much people were already saying they were tired of the same old excuses, the same rhetoric. It was stale. Well, that's what's going to start happening. It'll get stale with his voters, and it'll ultimately get stale with people in Congress. Especially if Republicans lose the tiny grip that they have on the majority in the House. If these elections in Florida go the way that they are projected to go, the messaging in the Republican Party will change. Now, he's out here floating this war with Iran and, talking tough about Greenland and everything, because that will be the backup plan to losing seats in Congress. That will be the backup plan to having all of his policies and the things going on with Doge ultimately rolled back by the judges, which is already happening. They haven't found a real scapegoat that is, capturing the hearts and minds of their voters. They haven't been able to really change the conversation from how embarrassing he has been to MAGA while he's been in the Oval Office. It's starting to trickle into Fox News. You can see that they're kind of over it. They don't really want to keep explaining all the BS. And let me tell you, that plan he came up with J.D. Vance, that whole he runs and then Trump is the running mate and he hands it down, that ain't gonna happen. Think about it. Why would J.D. Vance go through the whole process of running for president, actually win, and then immediately give up that power? All you're doing is setting up the party to have a civil war, essentially. This is how things will ultimately end for the administration. they're going to tear each other apart. People are going to start picking sides because the orange man is, without a doubt, losing power. Everybody knows he's not sticking around after this particular term. Right now, we're seeing the Republican Party kind of starting to realize they are going to be a movement with no leader, you know? They're not going to have anybody to rally around the same way they all rallied around the orange guy. And that is why he keeps talking about a third term. He's trying to convince everybody, even his own supporters, that the party is going to keep going. But the music is dying down, all right? It is not going to happen.
Let's talk about what Donald Trump just said because this isn't normal and we shouldn't treat it like it is. In an interview with NBC, Trump was asked if he's considering running again, not in 2024 but in 2028. And instead of laughing it off or giving the standard, "I will be done after 2 terms," Trump says, "I will like working. I am not joking. There are methods." Now stop right there. That is not a throwaway line. That is a former president and likely Republican nominee casually entertaining the idea of staying in power beyond the legal limits. Let's remember, the 22nd Amendment to the US Constitution says no person can be elected president more than twice. It's one of the clearest laws we have. It's not vague. It doesn't have loopholes, and yet here we are. And this isn't the first time he floated this idea. In 2019, he joked about being president for 10, maybe 14 years. He shared a video where science flips were from Trump 2020 to Trump 2048 like it's a Netflix promo for a dystopia political thriller. He even tweeted it out with the caption, "Trump forever." Back then, people said he was joking. But how many times does someone have to joke about dismantling democracy before we stop laughing? Because here is the thing. Authoritarians doesn't always show up in military uniforms. Sometimes they wear red ties, smile for the cameras, and normalize power grabs on one comment at a time. When Trump says there are methods, he's talking about more than constitutional amendments because he knows he's not getting 2/3 of Congress and 3/4 of the states to rewrite the Constitution. What he's doing is testing the waters, seeing who flinches, seeing how the media reacts, seeing if anyone in his party pushes back. They didn't. Not one major Republican figure condemned the statement. Not one said, "Hold on, this isn't unconstitutional," because the GOP isn't operating with checks and balance anymore. It's running on vibes, loyalty, and whatever Trump wants that day. And right now, he wants to see if he can convince people to let him break the rules and maybe the Constitution with a smile. Let's say the quiet part out loud. The idea of Trump running for a third term is not just legal wrong, it's strategically dangerous because the people who support him aren't just voters, they are believers. They are the kind of people who chat 10 more years at rallies and genuinely believe the 2020 election was stolen, even though over 60 court cases said otherwise. They don't need evidence, they don't need a leader who repeats it enough times to make it feel true. That is how propaganda works. Now, there is a scenario that some legal analyses have floated. It's the Putin Playbook version. Trump wins in 2024, then during his second term, he endorsed a loyal VP, someone like J.D. Vance or Eli Steflik. Then in 2028, that VP runs and wins, and once in office, they appoint Trump to some made-up cabinet position, then reassign, letting Trump take over again. Is absolved. It's a political circle, but in a broken system filled with loyalties and no accountability, absurdity becomes strategy. Let me say this clearly. That would break every democratic norm we have. It would undermine public trust, set a dangerous precedent, and give future presidents a blueprint to never have leave office. But the scariest part, people would cheer. There is a significant part of the country that doesn't care about laws or limits. They care about keeping their guy in power, no matter what. And if you are still thinking, come on, let's just talking. I want you to think back to January 6, 2021. Remember how many people brushed off Trump's historic before that? He's just blowing off steam. He doesn't mean it. It's all talk until it wasn't. Until people stormed the Capitol, beat police officers with American flags, and set up a gallows outside the building chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." That happened because Trump didn't respect the rules. Because he told his followers that the system was rigged, that only he could fix it, and that loyalty to him was more important than loyalty to the country. So when he says he's thinking about a third term, we don't get to say it's just Trump being Trump. We have seen where that mindset leads. This isn't just about Trump, it's about a larger pattern in American politics where lines keep getting crossed and no one seems willing to say. That is too far. The overturn window, the range of acceptable political ideas keeps shifting. What used to be disqualifying is now a fundraising opportunity. What used to be a constitutional crisis is now just another Tuesday. That is not sustainable. If the idea of a third Trump term doesn't alarm you, ask yourself how many other laws are willing to ignore for one man, and if one side is okay with bending the constitution to keep that guy in power, what's to stop the next president from doing the same thing? That is how democracy is crumbled, not with a ban, with a shrimp and a slogan. We are watching in real time the normalization of authoritarian thinking. We are watching a political movement that sees laws as optional, elections as suggestion, and power as a permanent fixture. Trump isn't joking, and if he were, the people around him hasn't. They are drafting plans, writing legal theories, pressuring state legislatures, and preparing for a future where the only election that matters is the one he wins. After that, it's all methods. So we need to stop pretending this is funny. It's not a meme, it's not a gift, it's a red flag, a blinking neon sign saying we have seen this before in other countries and it doesn't end well. If we want to preserve the idea of America, a country governed by laws, not men, we can't afford to scrum this off, because once a leader decides they don't have to leave office and no one stops them, it's already too late. And that is the real danger of Trump's third term fantasy. Not just that he said it, but that he said it out loud, and silence that followed spoke volumes. If you find this breakdown helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below, because your voice matters now more than ever. What do you think about Trump's third term talk? Is it just another wide headline or something we should be seriously worried about? Let's talk about it in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.